You've covered the financial world for a long time. I'm sure you had the opportunity to cover both his companies and Hurd himself. Talk to us about your reaction here.
Yeah, well, it's a sudden, kind of shocking thing. I mean, when he left Oracle just recently, we were wondering if he was sick, and I guess apparently he was. I got to know Mark Hurd pretty well, met with him a bunch of times, both when he was president, co-president at Oracle, before he became co-CEO with Safra Catz, and then before that when he was the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. He came up, he was from Florida, then went to school at Baylor and lived in Texas and became an executive at NCR and became the co-COO there, and then joined HP after HP got rid of Carly Fiorina in the wake of the Compaq merger, became the CEO of HP, and was sort of a tough, no-nonsense guy. There seemed like a lot of problems at HP in terms of one scandal after the next, and then, of course, Mark got caught up in one himself, forced him out of the company in 2011, but he landed at Oracle. He was really a tough guy in a way, very straight, no-nonsense guy who ran HP almost like he was a founder, was sort of the way people characterized it. But he was a very tough guy, and really known in Silicon Valley as someone who was sort of very focused on operations, an operational kind of guy.
Andy, Dan here. You mentioned the scandal that ended up with Hurd being fired as CEO of HP in 2011. Then he becomes co-CEO of Oracle. I would just be curious what you think his legacy business-wise will be. How will people look back and assess his career? As you mentioned, success at HP, then the scandal, but then also success at Oracle. And you don't often see that happen, that someone is pushed out as CEO of a big company after a sex scandal, then ends up co-CEO of another big company. It seems to me like with the time at Oracle, he's sort of recovered.
Yeah, he did. I mean, people were kind of questioning whether he would land after that, Dan. And maybe today, in the wake of the Me Too era, he probably wouldn't have. There were even questions back then whether he was employable. Although it was a scandal with an outside contractor, it was kind of muddy and muddled and never really clear in some regards. It's interesting. I think he'll be remembered really as kind of a technocrat, like I was saying, kind of a consummate sales operation guy, manager. And, quite honestly, he never really built companies into huge successes. I mean, he was sort of, ran NCR, did okay, HP, a mixed bag, and Oracle, he was sort of obviously, running it after Larry Ellison's golden era, and also co-running it with Safra Catz, who is a tough operations person herself. So, I think he'll be remembered not as sort of a core Silicon Valley guy, but a professional manager who came from the outside, who fared pretty well.
Andy, they praise him, Oracle and also the analysts, for what he did as far as reinvigorating sales going back to 2013 and then forward. How do you replace someone like him? There are certainly going to be people out there who they could, or do you think that maybe Ellison comes back into the company with a greater role than he's had in several years?
Well, that's possible, but as I said, Safra Catz is a formidable executive herself. I mean, one of the most powerful executives in Silicon Valley, never mind one of the most powerful female executives in Silicon Valley. And she is certainly capable of running that company herself, I would say. On the other hand, she's been there for a long time. I mean, she may kind of have her own plans to step back herself at some point. Oracle's had a long-standing bench where people end up washing out and leaving because they were getting tired of waiting around for Larry Ellison to leave. And he finally did, but you're right, he may come back. They've bought a lot of companies over the years. And there are all kinds of people in the CRM space. There's, people like Zach Nelson from NetSuite, which they bought. He's around. There's always David Duffield and those kinds of people as well. So there's people who know that business, who actually know Oracle pretty well. But, it's probably going to be up to Safra and Larry to sort of figure out the leadership going forward, right?
Yeah. All right, Andy, thank you for bringing us your perspective there. Andy Serwer, Yahoo Finance's editor-in-chief.